and gentlemen. Professor Bazeyo, you're most welcome. Thank you for keeping time. And thank you for being so visionary to always lead us appropriately. Professor Bazeyo and Professor Maiga are now within the tents.
We are meant to provide solutions, especially to management, for proper, to guide in decision making. As I speak now, this system is already providing the EHRMS system that has been developed. I'm sure you're aware of that. And we are able to do appraisal of staff using our data here for this particular semester.
I want to request the GMC, the members who are here.
Yes, sir.
These people shouldn't compete. They should automatically be given money.
Hallelujah!
And then we develop the timetable system for the universities in Uganda. After all,
Thank you.
This is Uganda government money.
Thank you,
We
sir.
should help others.
Congratulations.
Got a project where we aim to reduce boredom and improve retention of learners when they are learning science, mathematics, and engineering. And we have deployed these games at sample schools within Kampala, and the response is that the children are enjoying the games, and we're able to tap into the idle time when the children are at home, when they are driving, because the games can be on the phones and they can be on the computers.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So this is a solution to traffic congestion in mainly developing world cities like Kampala. This will help in maybe in traffic jam and maybe in a taxi or your traffic police officer or you're the taxi driver, or maybe you're a normal driver and citizen. You can know how the congestion is and where, and then you plan effectively.
The closure of schools created an information gap for the learners, because here they were learning without libraries, without internet access, and those who maneuvered with data and WhatsApp and whatever, they had a lot of restrictions. Cost of data and internet access was a problem. Some actually didn't have the television sets, not even the radios, and so many were actually left out. And so we actually recommended that what we need to come up with is a community mobile library service system. So we are looking at a situation where we reach out to the learners as library and information professionals to bring the materials to them either physically or electronically using the means that would be available.
Our project is about establishing a knowledge and information framework that allows decision-making, enhanced decision-making for the National Granite Improvement Program based at Serere. So our application, sir, it has 3 components. So we have a mobile application. It's already available in Play Store. It's called Narrow Granite. Narrow Granite. So this, we can register all seed growers. We have registered 19 gardens. They are seed growers. So you want to be sure that whoever is providing storage facility is certified. So they are able to register these service providers and monitor the availability of space in those storage facilities.
This one can help us sort out the maize currently and the soya.
Yes. And the big problem actually is extension service monitoring.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, Prof.
The college, CoCIS has implemented some automated tools, mobile-based automated tools for some time to help with crop health surveillance. And so one major need was to understand how these tools have impacted on the livelihoods of farmers. The tool has several components. One is to help farmers diagnose crop health disease through taking photos. The farmers take photos, send them to the lab, and then the lab has developed a database which can help farmers diagnose disease.
So as the AI lab, we are developing tools to automate some of these systems and reduce the burden on the experts.
The Ministry of Agriculture should work very closely with you to actually enhance agriculture in this country. Because nearly every farmer has a phone, and nearly every farmer is on a chat. And if you penetrated all these people, I think would make life for the farmers very easy.
In this study, our main objective was to improve local capacities in developing weather prediction products and related services. Another objective was to improve the weather dissemination system. That is why you're seeing we are here with Wimeya ICT.
Any information without a receiver or any communication without a receiver ceases being communication, or it ceases being information. So we got the information developed by the Uganda National Meteorological Authority, made it more meaningful to the local farmer, for we visited the farmers to see what were their needs.
They came out with this system, WIDS, which we are calling Weather Information Dissemination System, which a farmer is able to access using any kind of communication device they have, be it the small phone or the smartphone, even a computer. Using that, you'll be able to access the weather information for different locations, for different regions, even your district locally. With this automatic weather station, the observer is able to sit in the office, let me say the people at Block A, and then they are able to access the weather information from the station next to social science there. Why? Because these two components will be able to read, let me say this one will read the wind direction, the other one will read the wind speed and then send it to a central repository somewhere. It's remotely located. And then this one here is going to be able to read the temperature for the day and then the relative humidity. And it also be able to send it using the internet connection. And then this one will help us to record the rainfall amount for each and every day and also send it. And then the soil moisture and then the soil temperature, all those values, all those parameters will be able to be read remotely. And it's a project for Wimeya ICT, headed by Dr. Julian Sansel team, who is the project investigator. And I'm happy to be part of it. Thank you.
When you go on TV, there's this lady or young man or old man who comes on and say the weather forecast. I don't know how much Ugandans benefit from that section when they say weather forecast. It may not mean a lot. But if we worked with the UBC and others, we could actually on a daily basis give this to the farmers, to Ugandans. Are you able to do it?
Yes.
You can?
Yes.
My other dream, Dr. Tayebo, everyone knows, is that Makerere should have its radio and TV up and about. I've said this before, and before I left the office, I think Tayebo, we had reached somewhere, but we can still continue. If we had our own TV, which I think we should have, we should actually have this disseminated every day.
Thank you, sir.
Let's work with these people in RIF 3 and see whether we can revive our TV and radio. Thank you.
My team, we set out to develop an application that connects farmers to agro input suppliers, customers, and policy makers. We found out that farmers have a challenge of marketing their produce, and in most cases they are taken advantage of by the middlemen who buy cheaply from the farm and then go and sell expensively into the markets. It's a one-stop center, also connecting extension officers. We found out that farmers, sometimes they are not in touch with the extension officers, and yet they need a lot of information, they need guidance from these officers. So we created a one-stop application. We have also a module for those who are willing to hire out the equipment and land to input information, and whoever needs that information can access the application and get in touch with those people so that agriculture can improve in this country.
Thank you so much, participants online, and thank you for keeping with us.
Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike, umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu. Makerere, Makerere, we build for the future, the great Makerere. Great, great and mighty, the walls around thee. Great, great and mighty, the gates beside thee. Great, great and mighty, the walls around thee. Great, great and mighty, the gates beside thee. From east and west, from north and south, all voices singing arise, Makerere. Rise up and rise, high up and high, all voices singing arise, Makerere, Makerere, Makerere. We build for the future, the great Makerere. Great, great and mighty, the walls around thee. Great, great and mighty, the gates beside thee. Great, great and mighty, the walls around thee. Great, great and mighty, the gates beside thee.
Thank you. Please have your seats. And once again, you're all most welcome.
So on behalf of my principal, I have a simple assignment here to welcome all of you to this open day. I want to start by thanking a few people and organizations. One, we want to thank Makerere University, RIF, the management and the Government of Uganda for making it possible for us to have the funds to try out our talents and come up with the various innovations that we are looking at today. Let's give a round of applause to those organizations. And then it has been said, but I want to repeat it. I want to thank Mak RIF for choosing the College of Computing and Information Sciences first to be able to exhibit. And the College of Computing, you clap for yourselves if you thank you. And next, I want to thank the exhibitors who have been able to come at very short notice. We're given only about 1 week. But even with 1 week, you can see that the place is full. All of you are welcome. All of you are welcome to this function. And it's our prayer that we shall be happy to see what has been developed and is being exhibited, and that at the end of it all, as we move into RIF 3, the committee will be impressed enough to allow us to continue the next phase of building on these innovations. So mine was a very simple assignment to welcome all of you to this open day. And therefore, on behalf of the College of Computing and Information Sciences, I want to welcome all of you to this exhibition. Thank you very much.
Our guest of honor, Acting Vice Chancellor, Professor Tony Oyana, the Dean, Professor Maiga, the Dr. Helen, a member of the GMC, our Director of Quality Assurance. We missed you somewhere there. I think we shall attract you to go there, because if you give them a tick, then they will achieve one of my promises there. The academic registrar, colleagues, heads of departments, members of the College of members of CoCIS, students if they are there, ladies and gentlemen, and the media. I take this opportunity to thank the principal of CoCIS, who accepted to take the lead, the dean and your team, and the researchers at CoCIS. It's one thing to offer yourself and your time to do research, to write proposals. This is at no cost. This is at your own time. You do not reschedule your lectures or your marking, but you put in extra time to write proposals. So, Professor Maiga, when you say that the team or the committee will find your people favorable, I think it is a given, as long as the work is well written. I want to believe, and strongly so, that ICT, as I said when I was there, is the main link that is lacking in our agriculture sector in this country. And when you hear the president talking about research scientists, actually he's talking about you. He's not talking about the medical people, because most of the medical research now is guided by ICT. Those days when we used to do research without ICT, life was hard, but now life is much easier. So I'd like to encourage you in CoCIS that look at yourself differently. Look at yourself differently. Know that you are actually the backbone of research in this country. You have all what it takes to support you. Days are gone when there were no resources. If some of you have been following the African Union, how it is progressing, many heads of state committed themselves to fund research in their countries. The last 2 days we have had a conference of African Union CDC. CDC is Center for Disease Control. You have heard of CDC from America. We have CDC of China. But the CDC of Africa now has woken up. We have had 2 days, half-day conferences with more than 700 participants every day. And all we're talking about is research and innovation to produce vaccines on this continent, Africa. I am a consultant to the African Union on Research and Innovation. And because of that, we were preparing this conference to see, can we have vaccines produced in Africa so that they are cheaper and affordable? And yesterday was a big day for us. 2 memoranda of understanding were signed with commitment of more than $500 million to produce the vaccine on this continent. We are now thinking and believing that we shall have the vaccine not only for COVID, but for other things produced here. But one thing to note, the role of universities was stressed. And the people who presented and talked about universities, none of them was a Ugandan. But they singled out 4 countries. 1, South Africa. 2, Senegal. 3, Rwanda, because of the commitment of the head of state. And 4, Uganda. So I can see that this money that has been pledged by African Development Bank and Afrexim Bank, we have a share as Makerere, and I believe that if we plan very well, we should be able to get these monies here and do research. The other thing that we agreed in that meeting was that as African leaders promised to support research, how many have lived to the promise? Our president and President Ramaphosa came out very clear that they have committed money to research. So next year, this RIF 3, we still have another 30 billion. I'd like to congratulate all those who wrote proposals in RIF 1 and RIF 2, and you got resources. There are about 22 of you. That is still, to me, a small number. The GMC members, I know I cannot influence you. Neither can I influence the process. But could we, at some point, maybe organize a training for CoCIS to train those who are unable to write on their own, so that we train them free and they also write proposals. This one I give it as a pledge, and when that training is on, if they call me, I will also come and participate in the training. Because I'm sure many people would want to do research, but others do not know how to write those. You know, we have the internal reviewers and then external reviewers. External reviewers are very strict because for them, they don't know what background you are coming from and the environment. They don't know that you have not been trained, so we should do that. I want to believe that a university that does not do research is not a university. And the government, having given Makerere money for research, was a good gesture that the government has faith in Makerere. Please let us not let down the government. You may have your internal disagreements in courses, in the university, in management, but research remains the thing that you cannot involve in conflicts. Even if you don't like somebody in CoCIS, in somebody in College of Health Sciences, reach out and do research with them. I'd like once again to thank my team at the GMC for doing good work, and to let you know that they will not stop. This is a calling that we must change and move our university to be seen and heard. Research will be the backbone of this country, will remain the backbone of Makerere, if Makerere is going to shine and shine again. I want to pledge that we will continue to support the university as and when we are called upon. On behalf of RIF, the GMC, committee members, to invite our guest of honor to come and tell us what he thinks about us. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Good morning to everybody. Members of university management and college management who are here, I recognize you. The chairperson, GMC, Professor William Bazeyo, GMC members, PIs and their respective project teams, our stakeholders, the media fraternity, ladies and gentlemen. I hope I have not forgotten anybody. The first thing is the VC is not able to be with us because he's at a retreat. So he requested me to represent him. You know, some people wonder why the principal has now become the acting chairperson, just like my colleague here, who's the dean and also the acting deputy principal, because our deputy principal is on leave. But today is an exciting day for CoCIS. I'm thrilled because there are two major events happening. We have this one, but also the Minister of ICT and National Guidance and the Permanent Secretary are coming here in about 45 minutes to visit us. When you host two big events, if you are the host and the owner of a home, you're always very exciting because visitors bring with them good what? Tides. So we appreciate those events. I want to speak to, first of all, the RIF being a special fund that we were given by the government of Uganda. By my own statistics, I think we have now received over 100 billion, if I am not wrong, if you keep the numbers. And we should give a hand to the government of Uganda and also to the taxpayers, because you are the taxpayers. Okay, we thank our taxpayers. We ask that you continue to support us. The objective of this fund, because you have to know what you are measuring, is to increase the local generation of translatable research and scalable innovations that address key gaps required to drive Uganda's development agenda, especially the unfunded priorities. That's the focus of this fund. And in round one, 704 applications were submitted, and 224 were awarded. Then we had the second one, resubmissions. 67 were successful. And we had institutional capacity building needs. 3 were successful, including our data center benefiting from this fund. So we thank you, Professor William Bazeyo, for being kind enough to support infrastructure development, because infrastructure is very important for strengthening research capacity. There was a special fund on COVID-19, 356 applications, and a third, 112 awards were given. Then there was COVID-19 urgent needs, 10 were awarded. Then round 2, research agenda-based projects. The number of applications was 386, and the number of awards, 160. And then there was round 2 needs-based projects, 7. So the total number of applications is close to 1,500 that have been funded here in all the colleges, and 587, close to 600. I want to focus on CoCIS because CoCIS is my business. Let me break down what CoCIS has received. And you are a beneficiary of the CoCIS projects. COVID-19 funded projects, we got 7. RIF 1, 13. RIF 2, 7. Need-based tract funding projects, 2. And 1 resubmission, making a total of 30 grants out of the 600. So you can take 30 out of 587. You see the proportion of the grants CoCIS is attracting, and we thank the GMC committee for giving us these grants on merit, and we hope we'll continue to build that capacity. The total number in terms of funds, if you're making the headlines, we have received 2.9 billion. That is close to $1 million. So again, we give the GMC a round of applause. I know College of Health Sciences is the biggest competitor in these grants. They are the ones taking the largest share. And the CoCIS, we hope we can move a notch higher so that we become number 4, number 5, and then towards number 1. Beating College of Health Sciences will be very difficult because they do very good basic research and applied what? Research. So we are very, very grateful for that. Now I want to focus on a number of things. Number one, as a personal narrative, I have been engaged and I'm around research for the last 27 years. Okay? And I have published, I think, significantly in different areas. So there are 3 ways that I'm engaged in the scientific enterprise, and I'm sure many of you are. Number one, I'm actively engaged through knowledge production and transfer. Okay? I was once told by one of my mentors in the US, he's retired, he said, if you don't publish, you become dead wood, and soon you turn into soil. A good scholar, whether they're in administration or doing anything, must what? Research and what? Publish. You don't get your tenure or you don't get your position and then you say, oh, I must rest. What makes you a scholar is to be actively engaged in contributing towards knowledge and its transfer. It is also important to understand research breakthroughs. Sometimes we strain ourselves and focus only in our area. A good scientist is a broad, competitive scientist. For example, one of the new breakthroughs here in Makerere is the snake research, if you have been following it. That is what we call high-risk, high-reward research, that's snake research. Very nice work, focused on snakes, understanding the venom, and trying to see, one, what are the chemical components of that venom? But secondly, how can you intervene to stop snake bites? Okay? I once cracked a joke, supported by CIDA, that this research is potentially publishable in Nature. The Nature journal is the crown jewel of journals. That is very good research. And there are many other pieces of research taking place in the College of Health Sciences, in agriculture, that are really groundbreaking. So do we as scientists understand what is going on? That is critical, because sometimes you can travel journeys, but you don't even know what is happening in your neighborhood. Okay? Number 3, you are always a learner, an active learner. I came here, I'm learning. You never stop to what? To learn. The arrogance of some scientists, they think that they know it all. No. You'll be humbled if you travel around the world and see some of the top universities. You feel like you didn't go to school. So it is important to be humble and learn. Okay? So I'm always learning new methods, novel ideas and concepts, especially through team science. These days, the emphasis is on team science, interdisciplinary science. So I'm always learning. I want to focus on the traditional measures of research impacts that we know. Some of them include the one my friend here, Dr. Vincent Sembatia, is always measuring. Journal impact. Okay? Journal impact is very, very critical. When you are publishing your work, you have done the research. Yes, you start with the maybe journals that give you an easy entry point. But as you grow as a researcher, you should target journals that have over 1 impact factor. The Nature journal has 30 because it's the best journal. But why do some journals have the lower end? Sometimes they are just beginning, but secondly, they are disciplinary journals. Disciplinary journals are very technical in nature, and therefore they attract low readership. It doesn't mean that they are not good. But strive to look at the journal impact factor and say, where am I publishing your work? If you do that, your work is not going to be questioned or over-scrutinized. The reason why people fail, even if they have publications, it is the journal factor, impact factor. The second one is the H-index. The H-index, actually in Asia, if you have been to Asia, the Chinese, the Koreans, the Japanese first look at your H-index before they think you are credible enough. Drive into one other measure, the Ishmat curve is an economist who wrote his books some time ago, 20 years ago. And it's the one that is used to measure overall research impact. I don't know whether Dr. Vincent Sempatia, you have read the work of Ishman, but it's a common name in research circles. He drew a curve. It is an exponential design. And then it flattens, it plateaus. And he had 5 segments in that research curve. A, B, C, D, E. You can Google Ishman's body of work that you're involved in. Some of the work is high risk, high research. You don't know whether you're going to get a vaccine, but it must be funded, okay? Because once it is successful, like you have seen the vaccines that have been innovated in the US and in Europe, you see the big reward. But nobody wants to put their money. So I thank African Development Bank for taking that risk. They have a very good short, mid-term, and long-term reward. And most of the research that is groundbreaking and new and novel belongs to that category. Then D and E. D and E belong to low risk, low reward. We thank the management and all those who are involved, and we ask the media to report correctly on our strength, and you can improve on telling a story to our citizens better than we do. Sometimes we write to ourselves and we write to the journal that we are publishing in, so you can help break that down. Thank the organizers here for giving us fun, and I hope we can continue to consume what you are showing us. Thank you so much. Hello. How many projects do you have here?
We have about
three projects. So I have brought our guests so that they interest themselves into your research, okay? So please take it away.
I'm Mak Magumba, and I'm leading a project on COVID response entitled Data Sanitizer, which is an automatic fact-checking implementation. So with the advent of COVID, the time of the pandemic coincided with elections in major democracies like the USA. The automated solution, you have two alternatives. You can do a machine learning-based solution. Specifically, do a supervised machine learning solution where you show a machine examples of fake news. Then it uses those examples to learn what fake news looks like. The problem with this is that when you have a new domain like COVID, because we didn't have COVID 14 months ago, so when you have a quickly emerging domain, you don't really have a data set, because it is assumed that the data set is representative, so the machine can actually learn a general idea of the domain. But the domain is new and it's also quickly evolving. So the alternative is to have a rule-based approach, which we propose here. So we have a heuristic-based approach, and we make the observation that fake news is sensationalist in nature, and that our project is 100% implemented.
Basically, our innovation funded by RIF is called InnoMark. It's a marketplace for young innovation from students. What it actually inspired, it's inspired by the fact that we have a lot of proof of concepts that are generated within the college. And most of those actually die after students have left. So what we are trying to do here is to see that we can actually improve the proof of concepts, from proof of concepts to what we call minimal viable products that can be used by people out there. So we want to see that these young proof of concepts actually grow from academic projects to usable small applications that can be hosted and can be used by the people that are targeted for. So basically what INOMAC does is that it is hosting a lot of these small prototypes from students, and it's calling for collaborations from external experts, but it's also looking for funding to fund the specific innovations that are hosted there. So what INOMAC did is to basically brand the applications, the way you see them there, with the hope that they can be improved technically. I think it's a very good starting place that we can actually work with an establishment like RAN to improve what is already here into what we call the minimal viable products that can be developed into small startups that can create employment for these young technical students.
Hasfa Namatovu, we are working on the project. It was a COVID rapid response call. Chibalama, Chisenyi, and Konge. These are communities that have 60% of people who are living below the poverty line. We specifically looked at Kampala because, one, we were looking at the fact that we wouldn't move because of the COVID-19. Our major objective is we wanted to see how COVID-19 has impacted the livelihood of these people in Kampala. And specifically, we were looking at access to food, health, we looked at the youth, we looked at education, we looked at transport, and many other domains. We used a systems thinking approach because we wanted to understand the entire system in its complexity. We also realized that the food that was distributed by the government, most of these communities could only use this food between 2 to 3 weeks. So by the time we visited these communities, they did not have food, and many of them actually felt that we were burdening them with asking them so many questions, and yet they were hungry. And also many pregnant women, we discovered there were 10 pregnant women that died because they could not, one, access health facilities.
What we do, we lend them fuel. We don't give them money, but our application simply lends them fuel so that they can continue with their work. Because we have noticed, most of them, I'm sure you have noticed, Professor, in the morning when you're going to office or anywhere, you find boda riders who always bend their bikes because they have no fuel in the tanks and need a refuel. So we look at that problem and we're like, how can we solve this issue? So what we do, we simply lend them fuel, and then we give them some time, 2 days, then they pay back the fuel, they pay back what we have lent them, then we can lend more to other riders.
We have a big problem of borders with accidents and not putting on the helmet. How can this, you are giving them fuel. Why don't you take advantage of this and you say, look, all of you qualify, but you must have your
helmet.
2, carry on with 1 passenger. You borrow, you are seen carrying 2, then you don't benefit. Because now this is giving them business.
True.
But how are you helping the public? Can you think about that?
Yes, but
so that if somebody borrows fuel, you have a tag on him.
True.
You people of ICT, you could develop these tags. And these tags, you can follow people.
True.
And we shall improve the safety of our people. So since we didn't fund you, now you write that you'll do this, and you tell us how you'll do it, and then we can give you some resources.
True. Thank you very much, Professor.
That looks at issues that we have within our environment, where we know there are frequent, for example, internet partitions, and then power issues. And so we realize that when we host our applications with these unreliable services, we have a challenge in terms of access to those applications. And so what we decided to do was to build a platform that would allow an application to be hosted locally, but then also have it being able to be moved between different cloud service providers. So we actually conceptualized this, built the platform, and now we are moving into another phase of actually having as many applications hosted on this platform. And already the potential projects are all these other projects that are being talked about. And so we already have infrastructure in place. We already have the software layer actually that enables these applications to be deployed, to be monitored, And even in future, if billing is brought in, they can also use the metrics or the monitoring information to actually, of course, generate the bills. But importantly, we have clusters, and one of the clusters is already within Makerere University, and we're already hosting applications therein. Of course, there are so many other components that are required to have it really at the 100% that we're looking forward to. We got this as part of RIF 1, and hopefully we're still sourcing for funding so that we can actually have this further improved. We're already working with NITA. They have actually promised to give us another cluster that will support, of course, the operations of our cloud service.
Do you know richest university which only depends on data in the US? They don't know. Let's keep it here. You be my friend, we shall share the benefits. And make yourselves also rich, drive nice cars and what. You know, you got some universities, some students drive Porsche cars. They don't steal, they use brains. Thank you. Let's talk.
Leading a project, a multidisciplinary project for an ultrasound model where our objective is to produce an ultrasound model for detection of chest opacities. The first phase of our project, our objective was to collect the data, label the data, and then design and produce the model, which we've done. So during the COVID times, even before COVID, we were lucky enough, hospitals didn't close. So we continued collecting our data. The data involved one ultrasound image and an X-ray image taken from the same patient, targeting particular organs of interest. So we did that during that time, and our only challenge was like gaining a pair of these images is quite expensive. Let alone labeling them was one of the very difficult tasks. Because this being a medical field, you have to be very, very careful with the model. Because the moment it makes any wrong diagnosis, that one presents a very, very big problem. So we spent most of the time discussing between the AI team and the medical team, labeling the data, and we're happy to report that all our data that we have here is correctly labeled. Now, after labeling the data, we worked with the data science team. My team is here. Accuracy of up to 97%, and we can run it here. It is available here. Actually, it may not come to 99% because the technique we are using is cross-validation. We have only 300 data sets. And so in machine learning or artificial intelligence, if you don't have too much data, then you try to confuse your model by giving it different sets of data, but the same data, but shuffling it every now and then, so that you can try to confuse the model and see whether it is doing some good work. We would have an interface with the mobile app. The more images we scan, it will become more usable because now it will be easier to use.
So this is one of our current generation of devices that we produce in-house. Yes, so we are developing low-cost innovations to tackle air pollution in Uganda and beyond. Our vision is really clean air for all African cities. Our day-to-day activities involve developing these kind of monitors. We deploy them. We make sure that they can work in a sub-Saharan environment. So,
having issues with the chest, if it is near a restaurant, you don't go take your meals there. If it is near a shopping complex, you avoid. But you also tell us the times when they are.
Exactly. So pollution varies.
But be careful.
We have trends where people tend to rush to work in the mornings. So
from Buwate all the way Nigeria, where coming.
It is a trend we see from the data that we are collecting in so many areas in Kampala. So you have high spikes in the morning. Towards 12 to 3 the spikes go down, and then you have those same spikes in the evening. So these are pretty common to almost all areas, with a few exceptions, say areas like Busabala, where you have low population, you really have a lot of green. So other areas, we see these trends happening every day.
How is Makerere?
Makerere is fair. So because we have loads of road networks, so we are actually recipients of this pollution. But sourcing, not so much. We are recipients, so we cannot control how the pollution can be dispersed. There are environmental factors that come into play there. But Makerere, we are good, I can say.
Okay. We have an analytics dashboard where, like this one, work with KCCA, they can connect their sensors, but we also give them some our data. So here you can see the daily trend PM2 for the past 28 days for the different areas where our sensors are. It's here. Oh.
Service delivery in public health, water and sanitation, and waste management. And it improves it in a quantum measure. It's not just a little bit of improvement. It is quantum measure, how it synergizes on inclusion and participation by the citizen. So it works by letting the citizen log in, register, log in, and demand a service. Once any citizen does that, is able to access the service. However, we have for the level where we are from the RIF 1 funds, we have been able to test it in 5 municipalities, 4 of which have already become cities. We have done it in Gulu, in Mbarara, in Mbale, in Tororo, and in Jinja. So it's been tested there with the participation of the local governments, and it is at the level where the prototype is proven. We'll need, going forward, to be able to scale it. It has very high scalability. It can work anywhere. It will also increase the reach of each shilling that is spent on public service delivery. What we need is the funding for AMESA. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You are so welcome. And thank you for the good work that you're doing.
Researchers who have benefited from Uganda government resources, which was allocated to Makerere University.
Crane Cloud is a cloud service project that basically works with different cloud service providers, but importantly to keep content local. So data is stored here in Uganda, processing can be done from any part of the world. And we're already hosting a number of projects and working to even host more really. We are working with NITA Uganda. They have given us some cloud resources, and so we are going to have another cluster that is basically for storage and sometimes for processing also of the data in that particular storage location. Secondly, the main drive about Crane Cloud is the issues, to do with connectivity, issues to do with power fluctuations within the country. So you might have like a data center, and the data center is actually operational, but one day in the morning, actually there is a power cut. And so all the resources that are hosted in that location are actually going to be unavailable. But then we've actually developed a service layer that is able to move resources from locations which are up, therefore ensuring that access to those services is actually continuous. And we've, of course, working also ahead with other cloud service providers, Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, and we don't, when we hosting applications, we actually do not consider even the name of the cloud service provider. What we want to know is if this web application or this particular maybe weather application is going to be hosted. You know that when you have your application hosted in South Africa, the time it will take you to actually move from Uganda to South Africa, it's going to be longer. But when you have your application hosted here, maybe in less than a millisecond, you actually have a response. Now we also know that the Data Privacy Act is in effect. And this ensures that, or this requires that all our data has to be local here. And without that, of course, serious implications in terms of the legal side. And so we just really want to promote this and really have it really get to 100% where we ensure
the data they are giving you is in your location. Probably they've cached it around your place. So the thing here is probably you're trying to say this denial of service, which could be out of issues very far away from our country, can be mitigated. So that we have one here, like we host curriculum from MIT, yeah, which is locally here. So when you search, you think it's coming from America, yet it's coming from the local environment. So it will become faster, and then it will be mitigated away from those issues that are away from, not our own causes in other countries. I think that's where Honorable Minister would like to see that.
The price of transmitting data. For example, when we send emails from the ministry to Makerere, sometimes they go through Netherlands or go through the US. So, and whichever loop is covered, it has to be paid for. So this local hosting solution would help bring the price down, which we have been trying to do. Thank you.
Yes, welcome to the stall, in which we shall present 2 projects, improve weather and information management. We've improved weather in several ways. One of them is by designing an affordable automatic weather station. This station is, it can cost the government about $2,500 compared to $20,000 and above. To improve weather is by designing a weather information dissemination system. So one of the problems we identified was UNIMA is actually working on lots of products, including daily forecasts, seasonal forecasts, to help so many people, everyone, and including the farmers. Now the challenge is these people don't get these forecasts. So what we did was to incorporate ICT in the program to ensure that we help them disseminate to everyone. And through ICT, whoever has a mobile phone can press *255, *85#, and they're able to receive. So you need to plan your day. So every day at 4, we upload what will happen tomorrow, when it will rain, and we also inform farmers on the seasons, when it will rain, and we accompany that with forecasts. That is our product number 2. And this has been, we have about 2,000 subscribers, a number which is still quite small because of the challenges. We so far have up to 30 automatic weather stations out in the field, and this software, they are the ones already using it, so it's already their product. Number 3, we have also worked on improving the forecasting process. So we worked on a numerical prediction model, which we submitted to UNIMA, and for that reason, the accuracy has been improved. So because of the challenges that have indicated, we went ahead to apply to RIF to improve the dissemination process. And because of RIF, we went further to reach more communities.
The various professors and lecturers present, our dear researchers and innovators, I'm pleased to be here before you. I want to thank, first of all, the Dean and his team for the wonderful work they are doing to have products developed in our own Makerere University. So the Dean and your team, congratulations upon having these wonderful products. I've managed to tour only 2 products, but I've seen that our future as a country is bright than ever before, because when you look at the cloud application, that is an advancement to our country. Because before, previously, like you've heard, we've been storing our information and applications somewhere else. But if we have developers mentored by our own professors, it means that the future is bright. So I want to congratulate the developers, the innovators for the wonderful work done. And I believe this is going to be a source of employment that will not, again, begin looking for employment. Once you've developed products, the next thing is probably to market our products and have customers who can utilize the products done by our own. And the good thing, our products are quite cheap. in our environment, our legal framework, and I believe that is the way to go. Coming to the environment management system, it is also a wonderful one. Of course, they have been telling us about what is going to happen, the readings here and there, but I've seen that this system can provide real-time information for the country, but also for the farmers in the different regions. So as government, I want to pledge our full support towards these innovators. They could pass to our office and we see how we can help them out. Because this is useful information. If farmers are planning to plant, they need to get the real information, which information can guide them on how to move forward. And probably now they may not have even to wait for the radios to announce or television. They can even access that information. I know that the future is bright because we are going to have more and more people coming on board. Thank you once again. May God bless you.